All right, here I'm on GU, and here is the 4-hour time frame on GU. Sorry, I'm in a bit hurry, so I try to make it a bit fast. So here I am on GU, 4-hour time frame. There was a break of the last recent 4-hour demand that has caused breakout structure here, but after the break, technical price reacting on this swing demand, not swing demand, on the next 4-hour demand that has caused the swing breakout structure on the 4-hour time frame, but this reaction has reacted on this last recent 4-hour supply area that has caused the previous demand break. So price action was between two demand areas, and there was a new internal breakout structure at this point. So there was a 4-hour breakout structure to the upside, which has happened from this candle. And on the 15-minute time frame, I was expecting longs. Technically, I had long bias in this case, 15-minute, and actually the price action on GU was a bit clearer than on EU. It was a bit different, but it was a little bit clearer on GU. So technically that's all on the GU. Price has swept some liquidity from this region with this movement, which also caused breakout structure on the 4-hour time frame, internal breakout structure, but this supply still hold the price. As you can see, price couldn't manage to break it, so price was still inside of this zone, inside of this 4-hour zone. So yeah, let's take a look on the 15-minute time frame. On the 15-minute time frame, there was the first supply zone mitigation. 15-minute has changed character here to the downside. There was a weak area which had some inefficiency. This has been flipped by this supply area, and this supply area has held the price, as you can see, which has swept insane amount of liquidity from this region with this wick yesterday. Yes, no, actually it happened on Monday. All right, but this supply has been flipped yesterday with this movement, this demand area, and I was expecting longs yesterday on this demand area after the liquidity creation and without a 50% mitigation. So there wasn't 50% mitigation on this 15-minute demand area that has caused a flip here, but price couldn't manage to sweep this liquidity out. Confirmation entry did not happen, and price had just broken structure to the upside. But price actually yesterday was a bit slow. As you can see, it was totally efficient, so we couldn't really trade anything yesterday. However, here on the 15-minute time frame, there was the internal 4-hour breakout structure to the upside. There was a 15-minute demand that has caused the 4-hour breakout structure, but still we were inside of this 4-hour supply zone, and technically the 15-minute change character here to the downside. But this 15-minute demand, where I was expecting confirmation entries yesterday, was the low point of this 4-hour structure breaking movement to the upside. So this was the last possible entry opportunity zone for the longs for me. And the session started with this candle. This was the first candle of the session, this bullish candle. And at this point right here, I was expecting a confirmation entry probably on this 5-minute demand, because there was a 5-minute demand area that has caused the breakout structure, and price reacted on it, as you can see, after a deeper mitigation. I was expecting a confirmation entry here, or a confirmation entry on this 15-minute demand, which was the origin of this 4-hour structure breaking movement. If a confirmation entry showed up here, we could take longs targeting this liquidity pool right here. Actually, there was liquidity, there was liquidity. So I was expecting a confirmation entry here. Or if price couldn't really manage to make confirmation entry on this demand right here, and the flip happened, then I would look for sells in this case, and I would target this liquidity pool right here. But as you can see, price reacted on this 15-minute supply. This 15-minute supply has caused the breakout structure here to the downside and had liquidity below it. There was some liquidity creation which has been swept by this movement, and price has mitigated this 15-minute supply area where I was expecting shorts too, because the shorts were valid technically. And actually I was expecting shorts after this demand mitigation. I was expecting a mitigation of this supply, and from this supply, I was expecting shorts down to this demand. So this demand would have been my final TP probably, or this double bottom right here, which has been created with this low point right here. Technically, it's an almost perfect double bottom. So yeah, but I was expecting short confirmation entries on this 15-minute supply mitigation. Or if this zone wouldn't be strong enough to hold the price, then I would expect some confirmation entry here, but this zone had a greater chance to be swept because there was literally perfect liquidity above it. And if we adjust this line right here with this mitigation on this 15-minute supply, price has just printed the fourth touch of this trendline liquidity. So yeah, but at this point, session started, there was liquidity here, and I was expecting a confirmation entry on this supply or on this supply, but this zone had a chance to be swept out because there was liquidity above it. So yeah, on the 5-minute time frame, there wasn't anything interesting, but on the 1-minute time frame after session open, so session opened with this candle right here, somewhere around here, price has swept all of this liquidity into the supply area, and with the first touch and the first full zone mitigation, price has printed a literally perfect triple tops above the supply area. Price couldn't manage to make change of character with this movement after the full zone mitigation, swept all of this liquidity right here, but couldn't manage to make a new break or structure to the upside. So I was waiting for a change of character here, which actually happened. And let me set these positions here. All right. So after the sweep right here, the flip of this demand happened too. As you can see, here was the reaction. Right here was the reaction, but couldn't manage to make a new break or structure. And after that, price has flipped this zone. There was a body break, and even technically change of character happened too, because weak is enough on the 1-minute time frame in order to have a change of character. So yeah, flip change of character happened after the higher time frame zone mitigation and after the sweep of this huge liquidity pool. Perfect. Let's count the criteria for both entry POIs. The first one was the higher time frame zone mitigation. Perfect. Second one, liquidity take for the higher time frame zone. Liquidity was there. Liquidity was there. Everything was liquidity at this point. So there was insane amount of liquidity take for the higher time frame zones. There was inefficiency for the extreme zone, and there was inefficiency for the decisional zone. As you can see, here, I consider this one as the decisional zone, which has caused technically the break of this 1-minute demand area. However, change of character has happened from this 1-minute entry POI on the extreme. So yeah, there was a possible risk split entry that I used in this case. Perfect. Pro trend, it wasn't that clear, because if we take a look here, technically after this 5-minute demand mitigation, price has changed the character here, but reacted on the last valuable supply and swept insane amount of liquidity in this case. And at this point, after the reversal, there was some bearish pullback, bearish order flow to the downside, but it wasn't that clear. Yeah, it wasn't that clear, but it was countable because price was in a bearish order flow on the 15-minute time frame. It was a really slow movement, but it was a bearish order flow. So yeah, that's why I counted the pro trend criteria. The first variable one was the flip. In this case, we could count the change of character too. The sixth one was the V-shaped recovery. Price V-shapeably reacted on the higher time frame zone, and also there was 50% mitigation on the higher time frame zone. So that's the seventh criteria. The eighth one is liquidity to target. Technically, there was liquidity to target on the downside. This whole movement was liquidity to target right here. So this is the eighth one. And also there was perfect double bottoms to target as liquidity. Perfect. At this point, after price has created the decision. Price reacted on a 15 minute. Yeah, I believe it was a 15-minute zone. Yeah, there was a 15-minute demand that has caused the sweep of this liquidity, but it wasn't that valuable because the only purpose of this demand was to sweep this liquidity and this liquidity into this 15-minute supply. But price was still coming from an opposite-sided zone, and that's why I did not count the not coming from an opposite-sided zone criteria. Price was coming from it, but it wasn't that strong reaction at all. As you can see, price didn't print volume candles. Price was hesitating right here, created liquidity for the decisional zone where I had a limit order on the 50%. So yeah, there was combined liquidation for the decisional zone, and technically the decisional was the combined liquidation for the extreme zone too. And yeah, technically I had 9 criteria for these entry POIs. I already set a limit order with 8 criteria without liquidity creation on the decisional zone, even though I do not really set limit orders with 8 criteria, but in this case, this decision had a chance to hold the price, printed really nice volume candle after the flip of this demand. And I was sure about that. One of these zones will hold the price, and one of these zones will hold the price and sweep this liquidity from the downside right here. And yeah, so I had 9 criteria. In this case, it wasn't the highest probability entry opportunity, but it was still high/medium high probability entry opportunities. I had a risk split order in this case, one on the decision and one on the extreme zone. As you can see, after the break of this demand right here, and actually after the sweep of this liquidity, after the sweep of these double bottoms, because there was double bottoms, I decided to delete my limit orders on these zones, and I was waiting for a new confirmation entry on the newly formed 5-minute zones right here, and there was an extreme 15-minute supply area which has caused the liquidity sweep, and all of the orders that has been swept here has been reopened on this supply area where I was waiting for a confirmation entry, or on this 15-minute flip zone, but it wasn't that really valuable. It flipped the demand right here, as you can see, and I have refined it on the 5-minute time frame. So after the break of this 15-minute/5-minute demand, I was expecting a confirmation entry here or here. Neither setup played out, and actually price action has really slowed down on GU. There was liquidity creation on both sides, and I had alerts on this zone and technically on this zone because I was expecting the sweep of this liquidity into this 15-minute demand, which zones 50% wasn't mitigated here. So yeah, that's all, guys. I really hope you can grab some value from this recap, and sorry for that. I had to hurry, but yeah, it happens sometimes. But that's all, guys. Take care and see you guys tomorrow in London session. Goodbye.